The fifth generation of this family. As a fifth generation, we've been doing this more than 150 years. So all these years of experience taught something. While you're making these beautiful 100% pure silk, wool and cotton carpets, if you're not going to involve yourself making this from the scratch, you cannot be sure about the qualities. So for that particular reason, we are producing our own materials, wool, cotton, and as well as silk at the same time. Today, I'm going to share with you how we are actually getting these silk out of this silk cocoons itself. Please come closer. So in this basket, you're going to see the silk cocoons itself. If you would like to, you can have. Inside of that, there is silkworms, but not alike, no worries. So if you look at the first picture over here, you're going to see silkworms itself. So this area is a major growing area for these silkworms itself, because this is also major growing area for the mulberry trees. So for their entire lifetime, they only eat mulberry tree leaves. So in order to become a caterpillar, naturally become a caterpillar or a butterfly, they produce those silks, wrap themselves around with it, and make these cocoons itself, like this one here. But in order to came out, they spit acid from their mouth. As you can see in this picture here, they spit acid, they make a hole to the cocoons and came out as a caterpillar. But unfortunately, we don't want this seed. Why is that? Because from this one cocoon itself, we are collecting averagely 1 mile of continuous silk fiber. From this one cocoon itself, it's really God-given for us. So 1 mile, right? So think like that. If it is going to be any hole, any scratch, or any dents at the cocoons itself, it's going to be thousands of broken pieces, right? So it's not impossible for us to have it all stick into each other, but it is really time consuming. So for that particular reason, just before they came out the cocoons, we are collecting all of it and then put it into hot steam rooms. In that way, we're protecting that shape and the longevity of it, but unfortunately, throwing out the insects inside. But no worries, because these are only meant to make a silk. We do have our own farms just like this. You can take a look at the second picture here, one of our example of how their farms looks like. So they're produced only to produce the silk. So we're not giving any harm to the nature itself. So in order to collect the silk from these cocoons itself, we need them to be soft, because right now they're too fragile. If I try to tear it apart like this, you can see they're not coming off straight. So what you're seeing here is just a tap water, no chemicals inside of it. Just a tap water. First things first, we're boiling it and then let it cool a couple of degrees. We put all of these cocoons inside of it and wait 10 to 15 minutes to let them soak all the water in and become softer. And after that, because silk is one of the finest organic fiber that you can find in the Mother Nature, we cannot work with only one thread. We have to combine roughly 25 to 30 pieces together so we can get a thicker one so we can work with it. So for that particular reason, my friend will going to be use this special brush. We need sharp ends. She will going to mix it, and then you're going to see this end of the brush will going to be catch between 25 to 30 pieces of cocoons end. And after that, we're going to spin it. Let's see in action how she's going to do it. She's mixing it well, and when she slowly lifted up the brush like this, you can see roughly 25 to 30 pieces of cocoons is ready to be extracted. And after that, she will going to collect this and unravel it a couple of times with hand. Why is that? Again, because if you look at the basket itself, you're going to see the outer shelf of the silk cocoons, they contains dust, dirt in it. But we don't want this. We wanted to work with high quality, so inner side of the silk. So what she just ripped off, this is the back tabla, this is the outer shelf here, but this again not goes to trash. We're going to recycle and use in the garment industries. So after that, with the help of this two hook here, she will going to attach it and make a small knot down the wheel itself. When she started to turn the wheel down, you're going to see they start to jump around and unravel. See that? This is how we are unraveling the silk from the silk cocoon itself. So in that way, because the silk in characteristics of it, when they get wet, they get sticky at the same time. So for that reason, when they get closer to the finish line here, we're going to combine again a bunch of them together, and without using any type of glue or without using any type of nuts, we're just simply going to throw it and they're going to stick it to each other immediately. So in that way we can produce as much as silk as we want. So this is the finished examples of how they are actually feel and how they actually look like when we are get off this from the wheel. Please touch and feel. But please remember, please remember, what you're feeling is a raw material right now. It's not mirroring the regular silk itself. This is raw. So if you try to tear it apart with your hand, you can easily do it. It's not strong, it's not flexible, and also it does not has any shining to it. So in order to make it more stronger, more shinier, we will going to boil these materials with olive oil soap in huge pots for several weeks. So the excess oil will going to be absorbed by this material, and then they will become a protective layer, protective outer shell from these, and they will become also more flexible and more stronger. And after that, in order to make it more colorful, we're not going to use any chemicals, because so far so good we did not use. If we use, the lifetime of these will going to be dropped way fast. So they're not going to last more, and more importantly, if we use any chemicals into it, they're going to ruin it easily. So in order to make it colorful, we're going to use vegetable dyes. For example, if we want to get a color red, we're going to boil it with pomegranate. If we would like to get, for example, blue, we are using indigo. Different type of flowers, roots, vegetables, different, what you're seeing in the Mother Nature, what you're seeing out there, here, we're using as a colors or different shades of the colors itself. So once everything is completed, this is the finished result, dyed with saffron itself. Please feel it and pass it around to your friend. How does it feel? And you have another sample if you would like to hear. This one is dyed with indigo. How does it feel?
It's beautiful.
It's very softer, right?
Yes.
But in order to get that pile in our hand, we need minimum 3 months. 3 months. Because in order to get this raw material in our hand, we need several thousands of these cocoons. And in order to get that pile in our hand, we need several hundred piles of these. So just to prepare the materials, it requires us minimum 3 months. Boiling with different vegetables, keeping up the temperatures, keeping up the ingredients that we're using, and also the important thing is how much silk that we're using is also matter. Once we get that in our hand, in order to turn this into a beautiful Turkish handmade silk carpet just like this, we need a master weaver. So one is actually making a handmade carpet right behind our view. So let's go and meet with her. Taught her how she can do it, because back then they're not doing it for commercial purposes. They were doing it for their own use. While they're making, as a young girl, once they get married, they're using these beautiful work of arts in their own house. The main differences between Turkish handmade carpets and all the other countries like Persia, China, India, they're also making handmade carpets. But what they're using is a different technique than ours. So it can be explained by looking at this table here. So all the other countries are using single knotting technique. Why? Because it's easy to make, it requires less workmanship, it requires less time and less material. But what we are using, not only in Turkey, in all the Turkish countries, like in Azerbaijan, Turkmenistan, Moldavstan, they're also Turkic people, and they're using only double knots. What's the main difference? So, in the single knotting technique, these green lines that you're seeing are the skeleton part of the carpet itself. They cover only one skeleton part at one time, but in a Turkish handmade carpet, it covers two skeleton parts. So when you use your handmade carpets in your own house, when you walk on it, when you vacuum clean it, unintentionally you are pulling each little threads. When you try to pull it apart, this single knotting technique is intended to tear it apart really easily, because it's not made for durability. They're making this much finer so they can fit more number of rounds into it and they can look more intricate designs. But what we are offering with the Turkish handmade carpet is always more durable handmade carpets that can use it generations to generations. But let's see how she's actually making this double knots. Please come closer. Now in order to make it, she first looking at this design paper. This is her design paper. If you can see here, they're divided by small squares because each little square indicates one double knot and its own color. She picked the line here and she picked the which color, and then she will going to catch two skeleton parts at a one time. So let's see. As you can see, two skeleton parts here, one in the front and one in the back side of this. And then please, by following this chart, let's see it slowly. She'll going to wrap one around on top of it, underneath, and when she's gonna slowly pull, you're gonna see these two strings will going to become closer and then become tight, and then cut the excess part, just like this. This is making a one double knots. Let's see one more action. Top of it, underneath, slowly pull, and then cut the excess part. This is it. Now she has to complete this one row with the double knotting technique until this one line here is completed. And after that, another major part, another important part by making these handmade carpets, she has to use this heavy iron comb. What we call is a kit in Turkish. So she will going to use this in order to beat the nuts, squeeze them into each other, so they will become much tighter and also much stronger by beating it like this. See that? Why is this important? Because she has to use same muscle pressure in every line of the carpet itself. Because if she puts one side more and one side less, the carpet line will going to be crooked and it will going to affect the quality of it. So for that particular reason, if one carpet is started by her, she has to be the one who finishes it. Because everyone's muscle pressure is different than any other person. Exactly. So after that, she will going to use this heavy scissor, cut the adjust the piles, and then the beautiful pattern just came alive, just like this. Now this is the three different and main things in order to make one row. Now she has to repeat that procedures, three different steps in every row. She cannot combine 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 rows together. No, she can't. Because she has to do it individually, working on it, press it, cut it, and then repeat it. So what we are looking at is 100% pure silk carpets, even though it's smaller size, but in this intricacy, she will going to need 2 years to complete that small silk carpet. 2 years. Isn't it beautiful? So, once everything is completed, we will going to cut this in half. We will going to wash it several times. We will going to adjust the back side and everything. And then this beautiful piece is ready to use for more than 150 years. Completely done by hand and completely done by vegetables. Exactly. So, this is the basic idea of how to make a handmade Turkish silk carpet. Let's give her an applause, right? She wrote it, she deserved it. Thank you very much. So please follow me to the inside.